Hi, it's Jen with Astrology and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to revisit the wheel and we're going to talk about still the signs, but now their elements, or their triplicities. So each sign has its own element. There's four elements. So there would be earth, fire, air, and water. So there is one per. So in our last video we talked about the quadruplicities, which are the cardinal, fixed, and mutable signs. So each cardinal sign will have one of each. Each fixed sign will have one of each element, and each mutable sign will have one of each element. So it starts in the group, so we start with Aries. Again, might as well start here. And Aries is a fire sign. And then we have Taurus, which is an earth sign. Then air is Gemini, and then water is Cancer. And then it starts all over with fire, earth, air, water, fire, earth, air, water. What's great about having a wheel like this is that you can actually see how they kind of connect to each other and how each one, you can see how, as we talked about the other day, that we have our cardinal, and this would be in the angular houses. So cardinal and angular houses, they're very similar. So you can actually see similarities where we have the signs placed on this wheel. So it actually is a great idea if you have a large piece of cardboard or a big piece of paper to draw out a wheel like this, kind of to get a visual of how the planets actually interact with each other. This is a great way to kind of look at even synastry charts, or how the different signs get along with each other. So when you are looking at, I'm a Cancer. So what sign am I compatible to? So this is how, we go around figuring it out. So again, we have our main cardinal signs. So we have fire, water, air, and earth. So then we have the second, which is our fixed signs, and we have earth, fire, water, and air. And then our mutable signs, we have starting off with air, then we have, I lost my place, in Virgo, which is earth, and then fire and water. So each one represents, you can kind of get a gist of what it is, again, by the symbol and the type of element that it is. Fire signs, obviously they are fiery. They don't always mix well with, say, water signs, because water puts out fire. So you can always, and you can see on here how they relate to each other. So we have fire here, earth, or water here. So, and that we'll get into in another video, and that's what is kind of starting what we call aspects. And there's positive aspects and there's negative aspects. So anytime that you see any signs that are, say, 3 signs away, 1, 2, 3. So like this, that is what we call a square. It's a hard aspect. It makes like a kind of an L. So you want a perfect square. It's got like a perfect square edge. So right there, that's a square. So now if you look at these two, they have like a triangle. That's called a sextile, because they're 2 signs away. When we go to, say, fire to fire, that's what we call a trine, because it's 4 signs away. So any anything that is a trine or a sextile apart would kind of get along. They blend well together. So we see that fire and air blends well. We see that earth and water blends well because they are just that much apart. We also see that when they're far apart, when they're the same element, they also blend well together because they understand each other. They, fire with fire, they get it. They understand that, we're gonna go for what we want. We're gonna, take initiative, and, we're a fiery breed. We, are on the go. We, go with our emotions, or not with our emotions. We go with our head. We just go. Where water kind of is more emotional, so they go with their gut. They think about things first, and that way, that's how that can kind of be maybe an issue when it comes to relationships. But again, what you want to do is you want to get your whole natal chart. That way you see where everything falls. Because again, in every natal chart, all of these are going to play a role in some way or another. So I'm basically talking right now about, say, your sun sign. So the sun sign, depending on where it falls, say you have a sun sign, for instance, myself and my husband, my sun sign is in Libra. His sun sign is in Capricorn. But yet we get along really well, even though we see that is what we call a square. It's 3 apart. So, I'm air sign. Everything is intuitive. It's in my head. I overanalyze, overthink. I think a lot, and everything goes on in my mind, where they're more practical. They're down to earth. When you think about what it's about ground. It's about being down to earth. It's about, how we're going to build things from the ground up. Structurally, we want things sound. Where air is kind of more, I got to think about this. Let's think of the logical way to do this. Let's, put all of our ducks in a row in that way, and just kind of maybe fly by the seat of our pants. Again, water signs go with their gut, and the fire signs just go. They just kind of do what they want. So what you want to look for, if you are talking about, maybe somebody that is somebody that you want to be in a relationship with, you kind of also want to look at their moon signs, their rising signs. So, for instance, if I have a moon sign in, which I do, you have a moon sign in Taurus. So here's my moon. So Taurus represents, it's ruled by Venus. We'll get into rulerships in another video, probably the next one, when we start introducing the planets and everything. All these are ruled by planets. Some of them have co-rulerships, some of them have singular, some of them have traditional, and some of them have the nowadays rulerships. But again, there's my Libra mind just kind of going off on a tangent, and we'll talk about that in another video. So I have a Taurus moon. Tauruses are about, good food, good drinks, having the finer things in life. I can find that in my life because food is an obsession to me. I love eating. I love, good wine. I also like to have lots of things. And Taurus is about, especially since it rules the second house. It doesn't really rule it, but it corresponds with the second house. And we'll get into that in a couple minutes too. It's about your possessions. I have a little bit of a shoe fetish. So, my Taurus moon is really strong. It's a lot of Venus in there also. I also have my Libra sun, which is also ruled by Venus. Again, we'll get into that in another. So an easy way, again, make one of these wheels up. They really are going to help you out, especially when you're kind of learning and putting things together. It's like, okay, I understand Aries, but I don't really understand the first house. Well, the first house is like Aries in that it's about you. It's about, yourself, your thoughts, your, what your goal is and what you want to accomplish and how you're going to, go through with it and what you're going to do and what you're capable of. Even your outward appearance. So Aries is the first house. Taurus, again, rule kind of, it's about your things and things that you love, your possessions. The second house is about, possessions and things like that. Very earthy, very grounded, things you can touch. Earth likes things that they can put their hands on. All earth symbols, even if you look at Virgo, Capricorn, they like to feel things. They like, to get, you think of Taurus, it's a bull. He gets down and dirty in the dirt. They really like get their hoofs down deep in the dirt. Capricorn, they like building things. They like structure. They're ruled by Saturn, so they're very, focused, and they have a good way of, planning things out. The structurally sound. They want everything to be right. Same thing with Virgo. Virgo is, they want everything. They take notes. They are very particular. They're perfectionists. They want everything just right. They, could be neat freaks even. That's kind of the Taurus in the second house. Then the third house with Gemini. Now Gemini is an air sign. Now air, they overanalyze, they overthink things, they are very in their own heads. Gemini is more vocal, so they do a lot of conversing, a lot of talking, learning. Air signs learn a lot by hearing things, taking things in mentally. And I know as an air sign, my head and my brain sometimes is hard to turn off because you're just constantly thinking things and overthinking things and, thinking of how, okay, this conversation went this way and overanalyzing it and, things that, other people, maybe like a water sign, would have forgotten about a long time ago. So the third house, just like Gemini, is about communications. It's about the people close to you, your siblings, your maybe close online friends, your Facebook friends, something like that. People that you see in your everyday life and that are close to you, close acquaintances. People that you speak to a lot. Just like Gemini. So then we move on to the fourth house. Now, the fourth house is an angular house, just like the first house. This one is about house, home, upbringing, your parents, the way you were raised, the foundations that you start out with in life. The same kind of goes with Cancer. Cancer is like the nurturing mother. It's very nurturing. Represents the mother. It represents the moon. Actually, is the ruler. So it's about intuitiveness, going with your gut, the way you take care of things, the way that you raise your children. So that you can see how they are very similar. So then we move on to the fifth house. The fifth house is all about fun, creativity, making new things and getting out there, dating, premarital sex, things like that. Fun things in life. Kind of, as you grow up, you can see, when you're a baby, you start here. And then you start getting some stuff. You start communicating with your siblings. House, home, family, and then you start kind of venturing out. Maybe this is like your teenage years as you're kind of going out there. It's, Leo's in here. Leo is another fire sign. It's fiery in that it's a fixed fire sign. So it's fixed as in it doesn't like change, but it does, it's ruled by the sun, which again we'll get into in another video. And the sun, everything revolves around it. So Leo likes things revolving around it, likes to stay in the middle, stay fixated while everybody goes around it, saying how great it is, like look at me, look at these beautiful things I've created. This house is also about children and the children you might have. So if you are looking to get pregnant, this is the house you want to look at. So next we move on to the 6th house. So the 6th house is about, it's one of the more negative houses. We have 3 negative houses in the zodiac. So this one is about your everyday work, so maybe your job, your everyday chores. It's about even pets, which I don't see as negative. I think that's very positive. I have many. It's about even, back in traditional astrology, it had a lot to do with slaves or people that worked for you, or that type of thing. So that's kind of how it kind of gets its negativity, where Virgo isn't a really negative planet or sign, but it, focuses on the nitty gritty, the everyday. I want things, here's what we're going to do. Here's our routine. It's very routine based. Same thing with the 6th house. It's routine based. I know, it's a funny thing with my pets. I have 2 cats, 2 dogs. Every morning I get up before work and I have to, have them in a line, and, it's pretty much like military. They're all standing there and I make all their food, line it up for them, and there we go. And then go to work, do my everyday things at work, get to work, first open emails, clean everything out, kind of like that. So that's kind of what that's like, everyday chores and things that you do. We move on to the 7th house. Now, this is another what we call angular house. So as the houses go, so angular is similar to the cardinal signs. And then we have angular succeedant, 6 seeds after the angular. So that's kind of like the fix, it's right in the middle. And then cadent kind of keeps the cadence, keeps everything going, keeps everything flowing, just like mutable, keeps it going, it goes with the flow, keeps it going. You think of cadence like in a band, that's what keeps the tempo going. So now we're up here at the 7th house. Now Libra, as we talked about in the last video, as opposed to Aries, it's about relationships and your partnerships. It could be partnerships at work, or maybe if you start a business with somebody, it could be partnerships with your spouse. Of course, it's about, marriage and things like that. So if you're looking for a partner and how your relationship's going to wind up, you want to look to this house, especially when Venus is passing through. And of course, we'll get into transits and things like that in later videos. So make sure you stay tuned and hit that bell so you get all the notifications of the new videos. Anyway, so Libra, again, ruled by Venus, is about love and is about partnership, and Venus needs partnership. It's also about balance and justice. I know, as a Libra, again, I have put myself to fight for people, even if I don't agree with them, but I feel like everyone needs a fair shake. So it's almost like Libras make good defense attorneys, because they can kind of find the good in where other people might not find good. They try and keep things balanced, keep things fair. They like things to be nice around them and beautiful around them, and they like peace, harmony. I know that I am a neat freak because I like everything to have that awe factor, just to feel at peace, to feel harmony, to let your mind relax at the end of the day, because as an air sign, it's, you know, over analytical. Your brain has trouble shutting down, and sometimes, you know, at the end of the day, I'll forget words, and you might even catch me doing that on these videos where your brain just stops working because it just is in overtime all the time. So that's the 7th house. That's our cadent house with Libra, our air sign. And of course, after air, we always move on to water. So with this 8th house, it's another kind of what they call a negative house. It represents other people's money, maybe spouse's money. It represents taxes, kind of things that you have to do that you don't want to do. It represents death. Who wants to do that? Who wants to pay taxes? It also represents inheritance. Again, other people's money that is involved in death. Now, Scorpio is a water sign, so again, it's a deep feeler. All water signs are deep feeling signs. Scorpio has a traditional ruler of Mars, and it has the current ruler is Pluto. Deep, 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 gets in deep. So that's the one that really gets down, wants to know everything. So if you're dating a Scorpio, they're gonna get deep into your life. They're gonna find out, you know, why you are the way you are, and you know what happened to you as a child, and they're gonna get, and their devotion to you is going to be very deep, and they're gonna be, you know, they're good, dedicated, caring, but they can be very they're known as being evil. It is a Scorpion. They can stick you. Well, you always want to stay on their good side, because once you're on their bad side, you know, they don't forget. They remember that, and they hold things deep down. I don't like the 8th house. So then we move on to our next fire sign, which is in the 9th house. And they represent very similar things again. The 9th house represents religion, long distance travel, where the 3rd house is kind of short distance travel, you know, back and forth to the store, maybe like little short distances, you know, visiting grandma in the other town. And see, again, with the polarities, this is the more long distance travel. Religion, again, is a biggie. Sagittarius, again, is, you know, a Sagittarian can be a religious leader, even a teacher. They be it's all about learning and higher learning, not like kind of more grammar school learning. This is about higher learning, like college, learning, you know, master's degrees, things like that. Maybe going to foreign lands to learn things about them. Again, they're air signs, so they're ready to go. They're not air signs, I'm sorry, they're fire signs. So they are, yeah, at the drop of a hat. All of the Sagittarians I know, they want to just, you know, one of the ones I know, she has an apartment. The second she moves into the apartment, she wants a house. Then they buy a house, and now she wants an RV so she can travel around the United States. And she's adorable. I love her so much. She is just, her fiance, which is actually my son, he is a Leo, so he's very fixed. He also has a Scorpio rising sign, so he couldn't be more fixed. He doesn't like a lot of change, but she pulls him out, and she's, nope, you're with me, we're doing this. And that's the way Sagittarians are, you know, my way, and that's the way it goes, because this is the right way. So I'm going to teach you what the right way is. So you can see how they're very similar. Then we move on to the 10th house. Now, again, we've gotten into Capricorn, the earth sign. Capricorn, again, ruled by Saturn. They are very career oriented. They are the workhorse. They will, you know, sometimes put work over family. Again, here we look at the polarities here. This is all about home and family. The 4th house, 10th house is about more work, your reputation in the world, your career, not just everyday work like the 6, but your career. And you see how the opposites and the polarities, how they, are kind of looking at different things in life, and they look for different things in life. Very fixated on, what I'm going to do to make my mark left on this world. And, I'm not going to just go off into the sunset. I'm going to leave a legacy. We move on then to Aquarius. Now, we talked about Aquarius, how they are the humanitarians. They want to take care of everybody. The 11th house is about your friends. It's about the larger groups around you, even online, internet and things like that. A lot of electrical has to do with this area. The current rulership here, the modern rulership is Uranus, where the traditional ruler of that is Saturn also. So we have 2 Saturns in a row. So, kind of goes by its own rules. It wants rules, but it wants its own rules. It wants to save the world. And by the world, it's the 11th house. The outside, the larger groups, your friend groups, things like that, your connections. And that's an air sign. So again, they go with their heads. Sometimes, air signs, again, they just are airy. They're flaky. They're, woo, we're going to do this. And, oh, let's go save the whales today. And then, tomorrow we're saving, something else. So it's always going to be something, let's house the homeless and, always something to save, and they just do it. You can hear my dogs in the background. They're very interested in what I'm doing and why I'm just standing here. They're both, I guess they want to eat. That's my 6th house right there. Now our last house is our 12th house, and that is ruled by, or not ruled by, but it coincides a little bit with Pisces. Now, Pisces is a water sign. Pisces is probably the most watery of any sign, if you think about it. It's the 2 fish, both going different ways, but they're tethered together. So they're kind of, all over the place. Ooh, what are we doing? What are we doing? Going this way, going that way, and kind of confused, but they don't act confused. They're just like, oh, they're gullible. Oh, we're going this way? Oh, no, we're going this way. Gullible. It's also kind of a lot of smoke and mirrors. That's a lot of what almost the 12th house represents. 12th house can also represent your enemies. So, and things that you want to keep unseen. Again, we can go by, their distance from each other, and you can see, here's you, and here's what comes right before you. So this is things that are unseen. Maybe it's even, pre-birth. It can be where you're confined, like hospitals, jails even. And Pisces, again, is accepting of anything. So, they're the ones that will write to prisoners to make friends, or like, I'm going to reach out to, John Wayne Gacy and talk to him. And, they're very accepting of anything. Whatever you are, they're going to accept it because, hey, this is the way we go, and we're good this way, and we're good this way. 12th house, again, is one of the more negative houses, but it's a lot more of like the inner. So, when you want to kind of go deep inside, you want to be by yourself, this is kind of where you're going to see some focus. So all of these houses, again, they are going to be in your chart in one way or another. And then when we start bringing the planets in, wherever the planet falls is kind of how that is going to, bring up the representation. So we'll flip this around when we start with different rising signs and things like that. But again, when you have the same the same element. Again, we're going fire and fire. They're going to get along because they're 4 signs away. So that's a trine. It's a really easy way to just get that visual of it. Here we have what's called the opposition, and same with polarity, opposition. We're going to get into all the aspects in another video, but you can see how where they're smooth, and then, you know, fire like each other, fire and air, and then we have earth, water, and earth, and so on and so forth. Well, that's about all that I have for you today. So make sure that you get your natal chart, pick it up, start kind of getting a little gist of it like this. You can go to astro.com, pull your chart up. You need your birthplace, time, and date. Time is very important because that's how you get your rising sign. We discussed how to get this in different videos. Again, you know, baby book, something like that. A long form of your birth certificate, even, you know, if your mom has a really good memory. And if you don't know how to do that, if that's all confusing to you, then please write to me. Email me at astrotastrology@gmail.com, and I will get you a birth chart of your own, natal chart, and I'll even give you a little mini reading with it to get you started. And if you want to elaborate, of course, we'll discuss that too. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please like it, and of course, please subscribe and hit the little bell if you want to see more videos coming up in this series, and I look forward to it. Have a good one.